Hello viewers, welcome to the Karadoc 2021 interview series. My name is Ritvik Das, a PhD student from Center for Nanoscience and Nanotechnology, University of Paris-Saclay. Karadoc is a PhD and postdoc association based in the University of Paris-Saclay. Today we have with us our special guest, Mr. Alexandre Boulanger, co-founder and CEO of Metyos. Alexandre was also the co-founder and managing director of his previous company, Wandercraft. Welcome, Alexandre. We are so grateful to you for making the time to be with us. We have a lot to know and learn from you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you are welcome. But I thought I could start with the story of your journey. So could you please tell us your background and your journey of becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, sure. So good morning, everyone. I'm a medical device entrepreneur. So my background originally is in engineering. I did my studies at the École Polytechnique, where I had like broad training in general sciences. And then I did a specialization in mechanical engineering and aerospace engineering in Super-Héros in Toulouse and TU Delft, also in the Netherlands. So that's for my background. And so after my studies, and actually during already my last year of study, I started my first medical device company, which is called Wandercraft. And so Wandercraft makes lower limb exoskeletons to make people in wheelchair walk again. So paraplegics, myopathics. And so it was a wonderful journey. So I co-founded and led the company for 7 years. And so I grew it like from scratch. We did several years of R&D. We then did several clinical studies. Then we got the CE mark for our products. We did some industrialization and then the commercial phase. So now the company is doing well. It has 75 employees and it's selling its exoskeletons in rehab centers in Europe. And so now I'm starting a second company, which is called Metyos, also a medical device company, but on a different topic. So now I'm again in the early stage phases of the company. So I'm doing it again from scratch. It's very exciting. And so my second company is about another topic, which is a very big public health concern today, which is excess weight and obesity. So I started it from like a personal story because I gained 20 kilos during my first startup. I was actually very thin when I was young, so I always thought that problem would never happen to me, but it did. And for years, I didn't do anything about it because I think I was not motivated enough, but the pain sources accumulated over the years. So the self-esteem that decreases, and then your health, also your physical state is decreasing. And at the end, I reached like a psychological threshold. And so I was very motivated to lose weight. And I realized that it was not easy at all. It's very difficult to reverse weight gain because the body is defending itself. And it's also very difficult to understand what is going on with your body. Everybody has a different metabolism, actually. And there is not a lot of tools today to have a real feedback on what's going on with your body. So I was very frustrated. I looked for products on the market to get me some feedback about what was going on with my body. I didn't find anything satisfying, so I decided to start this new company. And so what we are doing basically is we are designing a biosensor. So it's like some kind of patch that you can put on your arm, for example, and it measures molecules in your skin. And then we model the energy metabolism, and we send the data to a smartphone to tell the user if he or she is in a fat burning or fat storage state in real time. And then from this incredible new data, what we will do is design like a pocket automated nutritionist that will guide the person to find back a new balance with their nutrition and lifestyle.
Yeah, nice. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, so you have mentioned that you have recently started the new company, Metyos. In what development state the Metyos is at this moment, and how close is the company to become profitable?
Well, the company is not close to be profitable right now because we are really in the early stage. So basically now we are 2 people working in my living room. So that's me and my associate Olga Shashina. So she has a PhD in biomedical engineering. She finished her PhD in 2020. Before that, she was working as a strategy consultant at McKinsey. And then before that, her background is in physics. So she did her studies in Novosibirsk University in Russia and then in the École Polytechnique in France. So we met 6 months ago. And so since then, we are building this very strong relationship. That is the relationship that you create with your associate when you create a company. And so we work on the technology and the business part in parallel. So we have now first parts of our prototype. And on the business side, we did a business plan. We talked with a lot of people. We studied the strategy. So now we have a plan which is quite well defined. So we know what to do. We have a vision, a strategy. We have a legal entity also. We created the legal entity in March. And so now we are going further on the technology. We will actually work in a lab of Saclay because we will be able to use some chemistry spaces to do our experiments in the LADIX in the École Polytechnique. And right now we are recruiting 3 interns, 2 on the R&D part and 1 on the business part. And we will continue to grow the company from that point.
Yeah, nice. Pretty interesting. In the line with development of Metyos, in next 5 years, what kinds of expertise are you looking for to hire people?
So in the next 5 years, so we have a plan that leads us to a go-to-market in 2025. So we have several years of R&D, clinical trials, regulatory. And so we are looking for people in R&D. So for example, in chemistry and electrochemistry, in computational biology, in electronics, hardware, computer science. And so that's for the R&D part. We will also be looking for people in other topics like clinical trials, quality, regulatory, industrialization, marketing and sales. So yeah, a lot of topics.
Yeah. So there is a good opportunity for PhD and postdocs who are associated with research. They will also find a good opportunity to work with you and in your company.
Yeah, sure. Anybody who is interested can contact me. And I worked with a lot of PhDs and postdoc with my first companies. I think when your company has a really strong technological core, it's very interesting to work with that kind of profile because they have a very strong knowledge of their field. They have a deep understanding of it. usually a deeper understanding, for example, than students coming from engineering that did not do a PhD. So that's very interesting people. Also, they always have for me like a professional experience, because for me a PhD is a kind of professional experience, and they usually had to present their work. Sometimes they did some teaching, so usually they know also how to communicate about their work. So yeah, that's very interesting profiles, and I'm interested in working with PhDs.
Yes. So okay, nowadays everyone is talking about startups. So what is exactly startup for you?
Yes, so I think there is maybe no consensus of the a precise definition, but a startup for me, it's a company first. It's a new company. It's working on something that is innovative, that is new, and also it's a company that targets a really big potential market, and that has a business that you can repeat, that it's repeatable and scalable. That means that the margin has to grow the more and more you have customers. And usually so the startup is at the beginning and is aiming towards that, and so it's looking like for its business model in the way to get to that potential very big market.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So the thing is, you told when you are an engineering student at Polytechnic, you started working on your startup, the first startup Wandercraft. So when did you realize that you want to create your own business? Means what was the factor which was driving you to create a business?
Yeah, so I think till that point I followed the path that everybody told me to follow. Like in school, my teachers told me, if you are good, you need to do scientific stuff. So I did that. Then they said to me that you have to go to preparatory class. So I did that. Then you have to go to the best engineering school you can. So I did that. And then I had to choose some specialization. So I like systems. I like understand how systems work. So I choose mechanics. Then I was like, okay, in mechanics, aerospace seems to be a good place to do some advanced and interesting mechanics. But actually, I was not enthusiastic about being an engineer in a very big aerospace company where I would have been able only to work on a small part of a big project and not see the whole thing. And so I was not enthusiastic, and I met my co-founder in Polytechnic, Nicolas Simon, and we talked about exoskeletons. And he has a personal story with that, because there is some kind of genetic disease in his family. So he's well aware of the problem. And so we talked about it, and I was very enthusiastic about the fact to build my own path, to make my own decision, to be very autonomous, and to be able to see the whole project and to make it grow. So that really motivated me, and I don't regret that choice. It's fascinating every day.
Yes. So I remember it is also your own code. You consider yourself an architect of companies. You mean at this age, you have already made 2 companies. So it's a very big achievement. So your first startup was Wandercraft, then Metyos. What are the first steps and the core things that a founder or a founding team needs to do to create businesses?
So the first thing that I do is to find associates. because I think it's better to be several people, because when you are alone, you don't have a person to talk to every day who is as much committed as you are to the adventure. So and to make good decisions, I think it's better to several persons. I think 2 or 3 are the good numbers, because more than that can be complicated. So the first thing for me is to find 1 or 2 person to be my associate. And that's not a very easy thing to do, because you have to find somebody who is motivated, who wants to do it, who wants to do entrepreneurship, to take the risks, and who is available right now, and also who you will be able to work with for a lot of years. And it's a very strong relationship. It's much more than a colleague relationship. It's kind of a marriage, actually. And so I think it's important to work with the person for several months to test the relationship, to see if it will work for long. And so that's not an easy thing to do. So that's the first step for me. And then, well, you need an idea, I think. So you have to find your idea, and then to explore, I think, the idea on the business part, and also on the technical part, if it's a project with a lot of technology. And so to explore those things, to make things more clear about what you need to do. And yeah, that's the first steps.
Yes. So to build one startup from the scratch, it's really difficult process. So in your case, what difficulties have you faced, and how did you react to resolve those issues?
So, well, a lot of a lot of difficulties, actually. So yeah, the first one is to find a good associate and to have a good relation. Then the second one is to maybe, I mean, there is a lot of them. So maybe you have to find funds, so to find money also. And then to hire people. Hire people is also very difficult because you have to choose well, and it's not easy when you just meet the person for 1 or 2 times. So hiring also is difficult. So yeah, do you want me to talk about one of those topics in particular, maybe?
Yeah, if you want, you can, yes. But probably maybe you can talk about the funding. Means how do you find the funding for your startup, and what are the sources for gathering funds, like this?
Yeah, so you have a lot of sources of funding, actually, for startups, especially in France. I think we are lucky in France to have very good support and a lot of sources of funding for innovating startups. So you have, for example, the business angels. So the business angels are like individuals who maybe did some other investments which are more conventional investment, and then they have more money and they want to put it in startups because they want also a bit to be part of the adventure. It's a way for them to do something else with their money. Also, some of them are actually former entrepreneurs, and after being an entrepreneur now, they are investing in a lot of different startups. So you have the business angels. Then you have also the venture capitalist firms. So that's their job, to invest others people money. So money from individuals or institutionals in startup companies. Then you have a lot of public aid and funding. In France, we have a lot of them. for example, from the Banque Publique d'Investissement, and you also have the Crédit d'Impôt Recherche as well. Then you have you have a crowdfunding. So that's another approach. So you have different types of crowdfunding. You have like equity crowdfunding. So that's like a lot of business angels that invest in your company. So a lot of small business angels. Or you have other crowdfunding like a Kickstarter that is more like the future customers that are financing your startup because they want the product. So that's another source of funding. You also have a loan and trust program. So organizations that make you a personal loan with a zero interest rate, and you don't have to reimburse it already. You can start the reimbursement in some maybe in 1 year of. So that's another potential source. Yeah. So you have a lot of sources, and
yes.
So you'll find a way.
Yeah. Because it is the one of the foremost problem people when think about creating a startup they face to means from where and how to get funds. But the thing is, in early days, how do you pay for yourself and the founding team, means the people who are working with you?
Yes, so in the early days, probably you will not be able to pay yourself. So that's, I mean, you take your risk, your personal risk, and that's part of the adventure. Of course, you don't want this period to be too long for you. So, so there can be several ways. For example, my first startup, when I started my first startup, I was a student. And so that's very good, I think, to found it very early in your life, because when you are a student, your cost of life is very low. I remember at that time, I lived with really not a lot of money. So you don't need much. And also when you're young, you don't have any commitments. You don't have a career that you have to give up, or you don't have a family or a loan. So that's an advantage of starting when you are young. The drawback being that you have less experience, but actually you build your experience by doing it. And then after, if you start it later, so maybe you have accumulated some money, and so you are able to, you have some reserve so you can assume your cost of life for some time. Also, Pôle emploi is actually a great first investor in startup in France, and I think that's good that this is really supporting the entrepreneurs. And so that's also a solution for a lot of entrepreneurs, which is really good. Yeah, so I think that's basically the main solutions.
Yeah, so the agency you have just mentioned, they support all kind of startups from all sectors, or just some specific with chemistry and biochemistry like this?
I mean, Pôle emploi,
Yes.
it's, it's an unemployment salary. So it's like, if you worked before and you accumulated rights, then when you are unemployed, you get some salary from the state in order to find, usually to find back another job. But you can say to Pôle emploi, my project is to start a company.
Okay.
And so then they are very happy actually, because I mean the country needs jobs, so they are really happy to help someone to create a company and create jobs. So yeah.
Yes.
So any kind of company, of course. Yeah.
Okay. 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 So it's government agency.
Yeah, Pôle emploi, it's it's the public agency for unemployed people.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I don't know how you say it in English, but it's like
Yes,
unemployment salary.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. In your case, as a CEO, how do you track and measure the progress of your startup?
Mm-hmm. Well, I see it grow, and it's very satisfying, you know, when you go to work every day and you see people working on the project you launched. It's a very strange feeling, like you are like, what are they doing? I mean, all these people are waking up every morning and they are coming to work on my project. So that's actually really satisfying. Then, well, you can track your progress with progress on what you want to do. So if you are solving technical problems, you see, are you solving these technical problems? If you do some clinical trials, do you have the results that you wanted from your clinical trials? If you want a CE mark, did you get your CE mark? Did you got it on time? Then when you industrialize, do you have the cost that you wanted? And are there any reliability problems? And on the commercial part, how many times do you take to make one sale? What is the price? How many customers do you have? Do they are happy afterwards? So you have a lot of ways to track. And then you get also feedback from a lot of persons, like you get feedback from your customers, you get feedbacks from your maybe you have some partners, some industrial partners, you have shareholders, you have your employees, you have suppliers, you have a lot of kind of people around you. And so you get constant feedback from a lot of different people from different point of view. And that's really, really good. You really need that. I always look from feedback from everybody to integrate all this information and different opinions, and then to be able to make your own decisions yourself.
Okay, so now what are your principles and strategies to build your team and hire people?
Yeah, so yeah, hiring people is really difficult, because and especially when you are a small company, just one person is a big part of the company actually. So you don't want to make mistakes, but it's hard. And at early stage of companies, I think I mostly look for people who are a bit entrepreneurs actually. Because everything has to be built from scratch, and so it's not the same environment as in a big company with big structure. So you need people that are very autonomous and who like actually to be in this kind of environment. When you are just a small team, you know, I mean, it's really exciting. You have to build everything, and you know a lot of things about the whole project, and you can talk to everybody, and you have this small, nice culture of a small family. And so I need to find people who really likes that and wants that. And then, of course, if you are looking for some experts in some fields, you have the technical fields. But you know, I changed my mind about this. Like when I started, I focused a lot on technical skills, as like it was the main and the only thing, but actually the human fit, the cultural fit with the company, the all that kind of stuff are actually much more important than technical skills. So yeah, so I always try to improve my hiring process, and then after the hiring, you also have the trial period, which is a good time, I think, on both sides for the recruit and for the company to see if everything is going on well. And so that's a good way also to not make mistakes, because the first hiring process, it's really tough to be sure, because you basically just meet the person sometimes, and also the circumstances in which you meet the person, the interviews, it's very particular. The person is usually not really the same person as usually. So yeah, so you see it with a bit of time.
Yes. Okay, so you have told you have also worked with PhDs. So how PhDs contribute in building a startup as a founding member or as an employee?
Yeah, so they can contribute, of course, on both sides. I mean, everybody actually can contribute on both sides. But yeah, for as employees, PhDs are interesting because of their very deep understanding of a particular field, and to make also new thing. Like when you are working on something really innovative, you need people that understands the field enough to make something new. Yeah, and also, of course, I mean, my associate is a PhD, so PhD can be great founders, especially in very technological companies. And I want to say actually that you can do actually anything you want. If maybe you did a PhD on a technical field, and maybe you want to create a company about something which is not technological at all, you can do it as well. I mean, to create a company, you have to be strongly motivated and to want it. And if you want it, just take it.
Yes, true. Yes. Okay, so what can PhD students do to know if they fit in this pathway or mindset? Do you recommend some events or training programs for PhD students or postdocs?
For them who want to build their own startup, you mean?
Yes.
Yes. So there is, I think, some training programs. So I think you can do it if it can reassure you. But for me, you learn the best while doing it. For me, building a startup is not something that you can really learn like in a scholar way. So, I mean, it can be useful, but for me, the main thing is that you want it. And so, and I think if you want it, probably you already know it in some part of your brain. Maybe it's buried. Some people also, I think, have maybe self censorship, so they have some will inside of them, but they don't express it. And so maybe you have to do some introspection. I don't know how you have to do it, but you have to make this will go out of you and just say, okay, I want to do it. I do it. And then you learn so much while doing it. It's incredible. So yeah, but I mean, you can do some training programs, but I wouldn't especially recommend it.
Yes. Yeah, but the thing is, in early stages, it's really important to get some support or mentorship. Means from where one PhD or postdoc or new entrepreneur can get some support or mentorship.
Yeah, mentorship is really good. I mean, yeah, I think it's better to find some kind of good mentor than to do some training program actually. And so for example, for me, for my first startup, I had two very good mentors. And so the first one is Jean-Louis Constanza, who is a serial entrepreneur. He has a lot of experience, and he taught me a lot. And he's actually now working full-time in the company in Wandercraft. So several years after we met him, he joined the company full-time. And so he was interested in exoskeleton for family reasons. And so he was looking about all the exoskeleton projects. And he heard about our project because we did some entrepreneurship contests at the beginning. And those contests gave us just a little bit of exposure of communication. We had some article in Le Journal du Net, and he saw this article, and so he called us and he said, I'm very interested in exoskeleton, so I want to help you guys. And I think what you are doing is the good way to do it, so I want to help you build your company. And so he was a really great mentor. So you see, like by doing a bit of communication and talking to your project around you, you can create some very good encounters. And yeah, and the second very good mentor that I had it through Réseau Entreprendre. It's a loan and trust program. And they don't give you only money, they also provide you, they put you in relationship with potential mentors. And so I had a very good one also with them. So yeah.
Yes. It's really nice. Means it's essential to be guided from mentors and to get support from others. Yeah. From this whole discussion, it is very evident that the driving force is essential at the early stage to create a startup, and then finding a good founding team, then also money, and there are also issues with money and hiring people. So one has to solve these issues. And then for PhD who are entrepreneur to be, it is essential for them to seek mentorship. And for them, the advice from Alex is not to be afraid to explore their PhD projects. It can help them in a long term, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now it's my last question. So in 2021, what will be the most important piece of advice you could leave this audience with?
If you want to do it, just do it. Don't let people restrain yourself from doing it, and believe in your dreams. You know, when we started Wandercraft, so at Wandercraft we work on the dynamic walking and the human walk. It's a very complex topic, and a lot of people told us at the beginning that what we wanted to do was impossible. And I learned with times that when people say impossible, most of the time it doesn't really mean the literal sense of impossible. You know, for me, the literal sense of impossible is like physically impossible in our universe. But most of the time when people say that, it means actually I cannot see how to do it, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible actually. So just believe in your dreams and do it.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much again for being here with us and sharing your great stories. It's been a real pleasure. For the audience, if you want to connect with Alex or join Metyos, you can find all the relevant information in the description below. Please like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching our videos. Stay tuned. We will see you again in the next week. Thank you. Bye.